Zeus had a pounding headache that no remedy could cure. The king of the gods, known for his immense power and might, was brought to his knees by this unbearable pain. As the agony intensified, he knew something extraordinary was happening. It wasn't just any headache, it was something far greater, something divine. Zeus, in desperation, called upon Hephaestus, the god of fire and blacksmithing, to help relieve him of this torment. Hephaestus, ever loyal and skilled, raised his mighty axe and brought it down on Zeus's head with a force that shook the heavens. And then, something incredible happened. From the cleaved head of Zeus, a brilliant light emerged, filling the sky with a radiance that none had ever seen. Out of this light, fully grown and armored, came forth Athena, the goddess of wisdom, war, and crafts. She stood tall, shining with a glory that could only belong to a divine being. Her eyes, as clear and sharp as a summer's day, scanned the world with an understanding that went beyond mortal comprehension. In her hand, she held a spear, and upon her shoulder perched a wise owl, a creature that would forever be associated with her wisdom and insight. Athena's birth was unlike any other. She did not come into the world in the way most gods and mortals did. There was no mother to cradle her, no womb to carry her. Instead, she sprang forth from the mind of Zeus himself, fully formed and ready to take her place among the gods. This birth, both miraculous and mysterious, set her apart from all others. It was as if the very essence of wisdom and strength had been born from the thoughts of the most powerful god, and this origin marked her as a being of unparalleled intellect and power. Athena's arrival into the world was met with awe and reverence. The gods themselves stood in wonder, knowing that she was destined for greatness. Her birth was a sign, a declaration that wisdom and strategy would always triumph over brute force and chaos. She was not just another deity, she was a symbol of balance, a beacon of hope in a world where power often came without reason. Her virgin birth carried deep meaning, for Athena was pure, untouched by the flaws and weaknesses that plagued even the gods. She was the embodiment of a higher order, a divine intellect that could not be swayed by desires or passions. In the grand halls of Mount Olympus, Athena quickly found her place among the gods. She was not just another figure in the pantheon, she was essential, respected, and revered by all. Her wisdom was sought after in times of peace and war alike. Even Zeus, her father, often turned to her for counsel, trusting in her judgment more than his own. She was the voice of reason in the council of gods, her words carrying weight and authority. Her presence alone brought a sense of calm and order to the sometimes chaotic realm of the divine. But Athena was more than just a wise counselor. She was a warrior, fierce and unyielding in battle. Clad in her shimmering armor, she led armies to victory, her spear striking down enemies with precision and power. Unlike Ares, the god of war who reveled in bloodshed and destruction, Athena fought with purpose. Her battles were not for the sake of violence, but for justice, protection, and the defense of what was right. Her strength was in her mind as much as in her arm, and she used both to shape the world according to the principles she held dear. The armor Athena wore was not just a symbol of her role as a warrior, it was a representation of her indomitable spirit. Each piece of her armor told a story, a tale of her unyielding commitment to justice and wisdom. The helmet that crowned her head was a symbol of her strategic mind, always thinking ahead, planning every move with care and precision. The breastplate she wore, known as the Aegis, was not just a shield, but a symbol of protection, not only for herself, but for those she chose to defend. It was said that the Aegis carried the head of the Gorgon, a creature so terrifying that it could turn men to stone. This added to her formidable presence on the battlefield, as enemies would flee in terror before even facing her might. And then, there was the owl. Perched upon her shoulder, the owl was more than just a companion, it was a symbol of Athena's wisdom. The owl, with its keen sight and quiet demeanor, represented the ability to see what others could not, to understand the hidden truths and to navigate the darkness with clarity. In many ways, the owl was an extension of Athena herself, a creature of the night who saw through the shadows to the heart of the matter. Together, Athena and the owl became icons of knowledge, learning, and insight, revered by those who sought truth and understanding. The birth of Athena was more than just the arrival of a new goddess, it was the beginning of a new era. She brought with her the promise of wisdom, the power of strategic thought, and the hope that justice would prevail over chaos. Her very existence was a testament to the strength of the mind, the importance of wisdom, and the idea that true power comes not from brute force, but from the ability to think, to reason, and to understand. Athena's presence in the Olympian pantheon was a reminder to all, gods and mortals alike, that wisdom and justice were the foundations upon which the world must be built. From the moment she emerged from the head of Zeus, Athena's story became one of the most powerful and enduring in Greek mythology. Her birth was a miracle, her life a legend, and her influence, both in the heavens and on earth, was immeasurable. In her, the world saw the perfect blend of strength and wisdom, a goddess who was as fierce in battle as she was wise in counsel. And so, with her shining armor, her sharp spear, and her wise owl, Athena stood tall, a beacon of light in a world that often struggled to find its way. In the quiet moments before battle, when the world held its breath, there was one figure whose presence brought a sense of calm and certainty. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, stood at the forefront, her eyes filled with a clarity that pierced through the chaos. She was not just a goddess, she was wisdom itself, a force that guided both gods and mortals alike. Athena's wisdom was unlike anything the world had ever known. It was not merely knowledge, it was a profound understanding of the world and all its complexities. She saw through the layers of deception, the fog of confusion, and the distractions that clouded the minds of others. In her mind, every detail was clear, every possibility weighed with precision. It was said that her wisdom was born from the mind of Zeus, and in her, it had taken a life of its own, growing into something far greater than even the king of the gods could have imagined. But Athena's wisdom was not just about understanding the world, it was about using that understanding to bring order and justice. In times of war, when the hearts of men were filled with fear and uncertainty, Athena was the one they turned to. She was the strategist, the one who could see the path to victory when all others saw only defeat. Her mind was a battlefield of its own, where every move was calculated, every outcome considered. She did not fight with brute force, she fought with the power of her intellect, outmaneuvering her enemies with strategies that left them in awe. When the Greeks stood on the shores of Troy, faced with a war that seemed endless, it was Athena who guided them. She whispered her wisdom into the ears of warriors and kings, shaping their decisions with a subtle hand. Her strategies were not just about winning battles, they were about winning wars, about ensuring that justice prevailed and that the world was set right. She knew that true victory was not just about defeating an enemy, it was about creating a future where peace could thrive. But Athena's wisdom extended far beyond the battlefield. She was also the goddess of law and justice, the one who laid the foundation for the political landscape of ancient Greece. It was Athena who guided the hands of lawmakers, who inspired the creation of just and fair societies. In her, the Greeks found a model for governance, a divine example of how a society could be built on the principles of wisdom and justice. She was the force behind the laws that protected the weak, that ensured fairness, that upheld the values that the Greeks held dear. In the courts of Athens, where decisions were made that would shape the future of the city, Athena's presence was always felt. She was the voice of reason in a world that often struggled with the balance between power and justice. Her influence could be seen in the way laws were crafted and the way disputes were settled. She was not just a goddess of war, she was a goddess of peace, of civilization, of the very principles that allowed a society to thrive. Athena's wisdom was a beacon, a light that guided the Greeks through the darkest of times. And yet, she was not alone in her role as a wisdom deity. There were others, like Metis, the goddess of cunning and craft, who had been swallowed by Zeus and whose essence lived on in Athena. There was also the Titaness Themis, the embodiment of divine order, who represented the law that governed the universe. But even among these great figures, Athena stood apart. Her wisdom was not just about cunning or order, it was about the perfect balance between them. She was the harmony that brought all these aspects together, creating a wisdom that was both powerful and compassionate. As the embodiment of wisdom, Athena was more than just a deity, she was a force of nature, a guiding hand in the affairs of both gods and men. Her intelligence was unmatched, her strategies unparalleled, her contributions to law and justice profound. She was the goddess who could see the future, who could shape the present, who could bring peace through the power of her mind. And in a world that often seemed lost in chaos, Athena was the one who brought hope, the one who showed that with wisdom, anything was possible. Athena's wisdom was her gift to the world, a gift that continued to shape the destiny of Greece and the lives of all who lived within it. She was the guiding star, the one who led them through the darkness, the one who showed them the way forward. And as long as there were those who sought wisdom, who valued justice, who believed in the power of the mind, Athena would always be there, watching over them, guiding them, leading them to a better future. The fate of a city hung in the balance as the gods of Olympus turned their gaze to a place that would one day become the heart of civilization. Two mighty deities, Athena and Poseidon, stood before the people, each offering a gift that would define the destiny of this city. The air was thick with tension as the mortals watched in awe, knowing that the future of their home depended on this divine contest. Poseidon, god of the sea, was the first to present his gift. With a powerful strike of his trident, he summoned forth a magnificent spring from the earth. The water gushed out with force, promising wealth, trade, and power to those who would control the seas. The people were dazzled by the display, their imaginations filled with visions of ships sailing under their command, their coffers overflowing with riches from distant lands. The might of Poseidon was undeniable, and his gift was one of strength and grandeur. But then Athena stepped forward, her presence calm and assured. She carried no weapon, only a small sapling in her hands. As she gently placed it into the soil, the people watched in silence, unsure of what to make of this humble offering. Yet, as the tree began to grow, there was a collective gasp. It was an olive tree, its branches stretching toward the sky, its leaves shimmering in the light. This was no ordinary tree, it was a symbol of peace, prosperity, and wisdom. Athena's gift was not one of immediate power, but of lasting value. The olive tree would provide food, oil, and wood, sustaining the city for generations to come. It represented the deep roots of community, the strength of endurance, and the promise of growth. The people of the city could see the future in that tree, one of stability, wisdom, and a connection to the land that would make them strong not through conquest, but through cultivation and care. The choice was clear. The people turned to Athena, their hearts filled with gratitude and reverence. They chose her gift, and with it, they chose her as the protector of their city. From that moment on, the city was hers, a sacred place that would forever bear her name, Athens. The goddess had not just won a contest, she had won the hearts of the people, binding them to her in a way that would endure for all time. Athena's presence in Athens was more than just symbolic, it was woven into the very fabric of the city. She watched over its people, guiding them with her wisdom, inspiring them to build a society that reflected her values. The olive tree became the symbol of the city, its roots a reminder of the goddess who had chosen them, its branches a promise of the prosperity that lay ahead. As Athens grew, so too did the devotion of its people to Athena. They wanted to honor her in a way that would be as eternal as her love for them. And so, they began the construction of a temple unlike any the world had ever seen, a temple that would stand as a testament to their gratitude, their faith, and their enduring bond with the goddess. This temple was the Parthenon, a masterpiece of architecture and art, dedicated to Athena Parthenos, the virgin goddess. The Parthenon was more than just a building, it was the embodiment of Athena's spirit. Its columns rose high into the sky, reaching toward the heavens as if to touch the realm of the gods. The craftsmanship was impeccable, every detail reflecting the glory of the goddess it was built to honor. Inside, a massive statue of Athena stood, sculpted in gold and ivory, a vision of strength, beauty, and wisdom. She held a shield in one hand and a small figure of Nike, the goddess of victory, in the other, a reminder of her role as both protector and victor. The people of Athens would gather at the Parthenon to offer their prayers, their sacrifices, and their thanks to Athena. It was a place of worship, of reflection, of connection between the divine and the mortal. Every year, they celebrated the Panathenea, a festival in her honor, where they would process through the streets, carrying offerings, and presenting her with a new robe, woven with care and devotion. The city came alive with music, dance, and the voices of those who knew that they were blessed to live under the protection of such a goddess. Athena's relationship with Athens was unlike any other between a deity and a city. It was a bond of mutual respect and love, a connection that went beyond mere worship. Athena was not just a goddess to the people of Athens, she was their guardian, their guide, their inspiration. She had given them the gift of the olive tree, but she had also given them something far greater, the wisdom to build a city that would stand the test of time, a city that would become a beacon of knowledge, art, and culture for the world. And so, Athena's legacy lived on in Athens, and every stone of the Parthenon, and every olive tree that grew in the city's soil, in the hearts of the people who called it home. Her gift had been one of life, of growth, of a future that was rich with promise. And as long as the city stood, so too would her spirit, watching over the people who had chosen her, just as she had chosen them. In the vast tapestry of Greek mythology, few figures stand as tall as Athena, the goddess whose wisdom and strength shaped the destinies of mortals and gods alike. Her presence was felt in every corner of these ancient tales, her influence reaching far beyond the walls of Olympus. It was in the hearts of heroes, in the heat of battle, and in the quiet moments of reflection that Athena's guidance became most powerful. The story of Odysseus, the clever and cunning hero of the Odyssey, is a testament to the unwavering support Athena provided. When the seas were rough and the path home seemed impossible, it was Athena who stood by his side. She was not just a distant deity but a close ally, her voice a whisper in his ear, her strength a steady hand on his shoulder. Through every trial, every temptation, and every treacherous turn, she was there. When Odysseus found himself lost in the labyrinth of the unknown, it was Athena's wisdom that guided him, helping him navigate the dangers that lurked at every corner. She believed in him when he doubted himself, giving him the courage to press on, to outsmart his enemies, and to find his way back to the family he had longed for. In the chaos of the Trojan War, where blood and betrayal painted the sands of Troy, Athena's role was one of both strategy and mercy. She was the calm amidst the storm, her mind always sharp, her decisions precise. When the gods took sides, Athena chose hers carefully, favoring the Greeks but not out of blind loyalty. She saw in them the potential for greatness, and she guided their hands with her wisdom. It was Athena who inspired the Greeks to build the wooden horse, a seemingly simple idea that would change the course of the war. Her strategy was not just about winning but about outthinking the enemy, proving that true strength comes not from the sword, but from the mind that wields it. Yet Athena's influence was not limited to battles fought with weapons. She also played a vital role in the inner battles of the heart, as seen in the myth of Arachne. Arachne was a young weaver, her skills unmatched, her confidence soaring. But her pride led her to challenge Athena herself to a contest of skill. The goddess accepted, knowing that this was not just a contest of weaving but a lesson in humility. When Arachne's tapestry was complete, it was undeniably beautiful, but it was also filled with depictions of the gods' flaws, their mistakes laid bare for all to see. Athena's response was not born of anger but of sorrow. She saw in Arachne's work a reflection of her own failings, a reminder that even the gods were not immune to the flaws of pride and vanity. In a moment of both compassion and justice, Athena touched Arachne's forehead, and the young weaver transformed into a spider, forever weaving her webs in silence. It was a transformation that carried with it a lesson, that wisdom is not just about skill, but about understanding one's place in the world, about recognizing that even the most gifted among us must remain humble. And then there was Perseus, the hero who faced the monstrous Medusa. Armed with nothing but his courage and a shield gifted by Athena, Perseus set out to do the impossible. Medusa's gaze could turn men to stone, and her lair was a place of death and despair. But Athena knew that even the most fearsome of creatures could be defeated by a clever mind and a brave heart. She guided Perseus, giving him the tools he needed to succeed, not by fighting Medusa head-on, but by using her own image against her. With Athena's shield reflecting Medusa's deadly gaze, Perseus was able to strike her down, proving that even the most terrifying of challenges can be overcome with wisdom and the right guidance. These stories, and so many others, reveal the true essence of Athena. She was more than just a goddess. She was a mentor, a protector, a source of unwavering strength in the face of overwhelming odds. Her wisdom was not just in the knowledge she possessed, but in the way she shared it, in the way she guided those who needed it most. Whether it was in the grand sweep of war or the quiet moments of reflection, Athena's influence was always there, a light in the darkness, a voice in the silence. Her role in these myths was not just to help heroes succeed, but to help them grow, to teach them the values of courage, humility, and wisdom. She saw potential in mortals that others overlooked, and she nurtured it, helping them become the best versions of themselves. Athena was not just a goddess of war or wisdom, she was a goddess of the heart, guiding those who were lost, comforting those who were afraid, and inspiring those who were weary. In every story where Athena appeared, there was a sense of something greater at work. She was not just shaping the events of the moment, she was shaping the destiny of those she touched, helping them to become legends in their own right. Her influence was subtle but profound, her presence felt in every decision, every action, every triumph. And in the end, it was not just the heroes who were changed by her guidance, but the very fabric of Greek mythology itself, forever intertwined with the wisdom and grace of Athena. Athena, the goddess who stood proudly among the gods, was unlike any other. Her strength, her wisdom, her very essence, all seemed to radiate from a place untouched by the desires and distractions that ensnared so many others. She was the virgin goddess, a figure of purity and power, whose chastity was more than a mere absence of relationships. It was a declaration of her independence, her singular focus, and her unyielding dedication to her ideals. In the world of the gods, where passion and love often dictated the fates of both deities and mortals, Athena's choice to remain untouched set her apart. It was not a choice made out of fear or rejection, but one of profound strength and purpose. Her virginity was a shield, a way to maintain her autonomy in a world where relationships could often lead to vulnerability. Athena's chastity allowed her to stand above the fray, to see clearly and think sharply, unclouded by the emotional entanglements that could sway even the mightiest of gods. This purity was symbolized in the way she was often depicted, armored and steadfast, her gaze unwavering, her posture unyielding. The armor she wore was not just for battle, it was a symbol of her resolve, her commitment to remaining whole and complete within herself. The helmet on her head, the spear in her hand, the aegis on her chest, they all spoke of a goddess who needed no partner, who found her strength in her own being. Athena's virginity also carried deep symbolic meaning within Greek culture. In a society where women were often defined by their relationships to men, whether as daughters, wives, or mothers, Athena stood as a figure who defined herself by her own terms. She was not bound by the expectations placed upon her gender, nor was she confined to the roles that others might have wanted for her. In this way, Athena was not just a goddess, she was a symbol of feminine power, of the ability to be complete and powerful without the need for a counterpart. Her relationships, or rather the lack thereof, were a testament to this. Unlike other goddesses who were known for their liaisons, their love stories, and their heartbreaks, Athena's stories were filled with achievements, battles, and wisdom. Her relationships were not with lovers, but with those she guided, those she protected, and those she inspired. She was a mentor, a guardian, a strategist, not a lover. Her heart, it seemed, was too vast to be confined to the love of one, and so she gave it to all who needed her guidance. This aspect of Athena's nature also made her a complex figure in the eyes of the Greeks. She was revered not just for her wisdom, but for her ability to remain untouched by the vulnerabilities that often came with love. Her virginity was a sign of her divine wisdom, her ability to see beyond the surface of things, to understand the deeper truths that others might miss. It was this wisdom that made her the goddess of strategy, of war not for the sake of destruction, but for the sake of protection and justice. In many ways, Athena's virginity also served as a mirror to the expectations placed upon women in ancient Greece. While mortal women were often expected to marry, to bear children, and to fulfill roles within the household, Athena represented a different path. She showed that a woman's value was not just in her relationships or her ability to bear children, but in her mind, her strength, and her ability to stand on her own. This made her a powerful symbol for both men and women, a figure who transcended the limitations of her time. When compared to other virgin goddesses, such as Artemis and Hestia, Athena's virginity carried its own unique significance. Artemis, the wild huntress, chose chastity as a way to remain free and untamed, a protector of nature and the young. Hestia, the goddess of the hearth, remained a virgin as a way to maintain the sanctity of the home, the fire that never went out. But Athena's chastity was not about avoiding the world or remaining in one place. It was about engaging with the world on her own terms, about wielding her power without the distraction of desire. Athena's virginity was also deeply tied to her role as a protector of cities, particularly Athens. She was seen as the embodiment of the city's values, wisdom, strength, and independence. Just as Athens prided itself on its democracy, its philosophy, and its military might, Athena prided herself on her ability to stand alone, to guide her people without being swayed by personal passions. Her virginity was not just a personal choice, but a reflection of the city she loved, the city that bore her name. In the end, Athena's virginity was not just about purity, but about power. It was a symbol of her ability to remain focused, to wield her strength without compromise, and to serve as a beacon of wisdom for all who sought her guidance. It was a testament to her independence, her commitment to her ideals, and her unyielding dedication to the path she chose. Athena, the virgin goddess, was not just a figure of myth, but a symbol of the strength that comes from knowing oneself, from standing firm in one's beliefs, and from choosing a path that is true to one's own heart. In the heart of ancient Greece, where the air was filled with the scent of olive trees and the sound of chisel on stone, there was a goddess whose touch seemed to grace every corner of life. Her presence was felt in the rhythm of the loom, in the curve of a potter's wheel, and in the grandeur of temples that reached towards the heavens. This was Athena, the goddess whose hands shaped not just the fate of heroes, but the very fabric of Greek culture. Athena's influence on the arts was as profound as her wisdom in battle. She was the embodiment of creativity, the force that guided craftsmen and artisans as they transformed raw materials into objects of beauty and utility. It was said that when Athena touched the threads of a loom, they came alive, weaving patterns that told stories of gods and men, of love and war, of life and death. In every thread, there was a piece of her spirit, a reminder that creation was not just a craft, but a divine act. One of the most poignant tales of Athena's craftsmanship is the story of Arachne, a mortal woman whose talent in weaving was unmatched by any on earth, except Athena herself. Arachne's skill was so extraordinary that she grew proud, believing that her work surpassed even that of the goddess. When Athena heard of this, she did not react with anger but with curiosity. Disguised as an old woman, she approached Arachne, offering a chance for the young weaver to humble herself and acknowledge the goddess's superiority. But Arachne, bold and unyielding, refused, challenging Athena to a contest of skill. As they set to work, the air around them grew tense, filled with the quiet hum of their weaving. Athena's hands moved with the grace of a goddess, creating a tapestry that depicted the glory of the gods, their triumphs, and their wisdom. Arachne, in turn, wove a tapestry that showed the flaws of the gods, their misdeeds, and their cruelty. It was a work of unparalleled beauty, but also one of defiance. When the contest was over, even Athena could not find fault in Arachne's work. The tapestry was perfect, every thread a testament to her skill. But Athena, seeing the pride in Arachne's eyes, knew that this was not just about craftsmanship. It was about respect for the divine, for the forces that shaped the world and its inhabitants. In a moment of both anger and sorrow, Athena touched Arachne's forehead, and the young woman began to transform. Her body shrank, her fingers elongated, and soon, Arachne was no longer a woman but a spider, doomed to weave for eternity. It was a lesson to all who heard the tale. Creativity was a gift from the gods, one that should be wielded with humility and reverence. Athena's patronage extended far beyond the loom. She was also the goddess of pottery, guiding the hands of potters as they shaped clay into vessels that were both functional and beautiful. Each pot, each vase, was more than just an object. It was a piece of art, a reflection of the culture and values of the people who made it. The intricate designs that adorned these vessels often told stories, much like Athena's tapestries, preserving the myths and legends of Greece in a form that could be passed down through generations. In sculpture, too, Athena's influence was undeniable. The statues that filled the temples and public spaces of Greece were not just representations of the gods, they were embodiments of divine power and beauty. Athena herself was often the subject of these sculptures, depicted in all her glory, with her helmet, shield, and spear, a symbol of wisdom, courage, and strength. These statues were not merely artistic expressions, they were objects of worship, connecting the people with the divine. Athena's influence was also seen in the grand architecture of ancient Greece, particularly in the temples dedicated to her. The Parthenon, the most famous of these temples, stood as a testament to her power and her place in the heart of the city that bore her name. Its columns, perfectly proportioned, reached towards the sky, and its pediments were adorned with sculptures that told the stories of the gods. The Parthenon was not just a building, it was a masterpiece, a symbol of the harmony between human craftsmanship and divine inspiration. Throughout Greece, Athena's touch was evident in every aspect of art and craft. She was the goddess who inspired not just individual creativity but the collective expression of a culture. Her influence extended to every artisan, every craftsman, and every artist who sought to create something lasting, something that would carry the spirit of Greece into the future. In every pot that held water, in every statue that stood in a temple, in every tapestry that told a story, there was a piece of Athena. She was the thread that connected all forms of creativity, the guiding hand that shaped the beauty and utility of Greek art. To create was to honor her, to be a part of something greater, something divine. As the goddess of weaving and crafts, Athena's legacy was woven into the very fabric of Greek society. Her influence was not just in the objects that were created, but in the values they represented, the pursuit of excellence, the balance of beauty and function, and the respect for the divine in all acts of creation. Athena was more than a goddess, she was the muse, the inspiration, and the guide for all who sought to create something beautiful, something meaningful, something that would stand the test of time. In the midst of the chaos of war, when the clash of swords filled the air and the ground shook with the fury of battle, there was a figure who stood out not for her ferocity, but for her unyielding wisdom and unwavering resolve. Athena, the warrior goddess, was not like the others who reveled in bloodshed. Her approach to war was not driven by the desire for destruction, but by a deep sense of justice and a keen mind that sought victory through strategy and intelligence. Athena's presence on the battlefield was a beacon of hope for those who fought under her guidance. Unlike Ares, whose love for war stemmed from a chaotic lust for violence, Athena viewed war as a last resort, a necessary action when all other options had failed. Her warfare was calculated, precise, and driven by a purpose greater than mere conquest. Where Ares would charge into battle with reckless abandon, Athena would pause, assess the situation, and devise a plan that would lead to a swift and decisive victory with the least possible loss of life. This difference between Athena and Ares was stark, and it was felt deeply by those who followed them. Ares brought fear, a whirlwind of destruction that cared little for the outcome as long as the blood flowed. Athena, on the other hand, brought order to the chaos. She was the general who led her troops with a steady hand, whose presence on the battlefield inspired not just courage, but a sense of purpose. Every move she made was deliberate, every decision carefully weighed. She fought not for the thrill of battle, but to protect, to defend, and to restore peace. One of the most powerful symbols of Athena's approach to war was her shield, the Aegis, which bore the head of the Gorgon Medusa. This shield was more than just a piece of armor, it was a symbol of protection and fear. The sight of it struck terror into the hearts of her enemies, while it offered reassurance to those she guarded. The Aegis was a reflection of Athena herself, formidable and unyielding, yet protective and just. In the great battles of Greek mythology, Athena's role was always one of guidance and protection. She stood by the side of heroes like Achilles during the Trojan War, offering them the wisdom they needed to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. When the fate of Greece hung in the balance, it was Athena who provided the strategy that would turn the tide in favor of the Greeks. Her interventions were never about personal glory, but about ensuring that justice prevailed and that the lives of her people were safeguarded. Athena's relationship with the warriors she protected was one of mutual respect. She did not demand blind loyalty, nor did she expect her followers to fight without question. Instead, she shared her wisdom with them, helping them understand the reasons behind the battles they fought and the importance of fighting with honor. To be under Athena's protection was to be part of something greater, a cause that was just, a fight that was necessary, and a war that was waged not out of hatred, but out of love for one's people and homeland. Her armor, gleaming and unbreakable, was a testament to her role as a protector. The helmet that crowned her head, the spear she held with unerring precision, and the shield that guarded her heart were all symbols of her strength, her wisdom, and her unwavering commitment to justice. In every depiction of Athena, her military garb was not just an outfit of war, but a symbol of her divine role as the protector of Athens and all who sought her guidance. Yet, for all her might, Athena never lost sight of the value of peace. She understood that war, while sometimes necessary, was not the goal. Her ultimate desire was to restore balance, to bring about a peace that was earned through wisdom and careful planning. This was what set her apart from other gods of war, her ability to see beyond the battlefield, to the world that awaited after the dust had settled and the swords had been sheathed. Athena's approach to war was one of discipline and strategy. She taught that true victory did not come from brute strength alone, but from the ability to outthink one's opponent, to anticipate their moves, and to strike at the right moment. Her warfare was as much a battle of the mind as it was of the body, and those who followed her learned that to win was not just to defeat the enemy, but to do so in a way that upheld the principles of justice and honor. In every story where Athena appears, her role in warfare is a reminder of the power of wisdom and strategy. She is the embodiment of the belief that war, when waged with intelligence and a just cause, can lead to a greater good. Her legacy as a warrior goddess is one of protection, of careful planning, and of a commitment to peace. In her, the Greeks saw not just a fierce warrior, but a wise and just leader, whose approach to war was a model of the balance between strength and wisdom. Athena's influence on warfare was profound and enduring. She taught that the mind was as powerful a weapon as the sword, and that true strength lay in the ability to think, to plan, and to protect. Her armor was not just a symbol of her readiness for battle, but of her role as a guardian, a protector who stood firm in the face of chaos, guiding her people with the light of wisdom and the strength of her unbreakable resolve. In the heart of ancient Greece, where the air was thick with the scent of olive trees and the sound of the sea, there was a reverence that filled the hearts of people. It was a devotion that transcended time, rooted in the worship of Athena, the goddess who embodied wisdom, courage, and protection. Her presence was not just felt in the grand temples that dotted the landscape, but in the very fabric of daily life. She was the protector of cities, the guide of warriors, and the patroness of the arts. Her worship was not just a religious duty but a profound expression of love and respect for the goddess who stood as a beacon of strength and wisdom. Across Greece, temples dedicated to Athena stood as monumental testaments to her influence. These temples were more than just places of worship, they were sanctuaries where people came to seek her guidance and protection. The most famous of these was the Parthenon in Athens, a magnificent structure that dominated the city's skyline. Built on the Acropolis, it was not just a temple but a symbol of the city itself, reflecting Athena's role as the protector of Athens. Every stone of the Parthenon was laid with care, every column designed to honor the goddess who had given the city her name. Inside, a towering statue of Athena, crafted by the sculptor Phidias, stood in all her glory, a symbol of the goddess's power and grace. But Athena's influence was not confined to Athens alone. Across the Greek world, from the bustling city of Corinth to the sacred site of Delphi, temples dedicated to Athena were erected, each one a reflection of the love and reverence the people held for her. These temples were places of worship, where the faithful came to offer their prayers, to seek her favor in times of war, and to give thanks for her protection in times of peace. They were places where the presence of Athena could be felt in the very air, where the light of the goddess seemed to shine through the marble walls, filling the hearts of her worshippers with a sense of peace and strength. Rituals and ceremonies in honor of Athena were a vital part of Greek life, with the Panathenea being the most important of these. Held annually in Athens, this grand festival was a celebration of Athena's birthday and a time when the entire city came together to honor their patron goddess. The streets would fill with people, their voices raised in song, their faces lit with joy. A great procession would make its way to the Acropolis, where offerings were made and prayers were spoken. The festival was a time of unity, of joy, and of deep reverence, as the people of Athens gave thanks to the goddess who watched over them. The Panathenea was not just a religious festival, it was a celebration of the city itself, a time when the people of Athens could express their gratitude to Athena for her protection and guidance. The highlight of the festival was the presentation of a new peplos, a richly embroidered robe, to the statue of Athena in the Parthenon. This act of devotion was a deeply symbolic gesture, representing the bond between the goddess and the city that bore her name. As the peplos was draped over the statue, it was as if Athena herself was being clothed in the love and reverence of her people. The worship of Athena was not limited to grand temples and public ceremonies. It was a part of everyday life, woven into the fabric of Greek society. In homes across Greece, small altars were often dedicated to Athena, where families would offer prayers and sacrifices, seeking her protection and guidance. The role of priestesses in her worship was significant, as they acted as intermediaries between the goddess and her people. These women were revered in their communities, their lives dedicated to serving Athena, ensuring that her rituals were performed with the utmost care and devotion. Priestesses of Athena held a special place in Greek society. They were chosen for their purity, their wisdom, and their dedication to the goddess. Their duties were not limited to the temples, they were involved in the community, offering guidance, performing rituals, and ensuring that the worship of Athena remained a central part of life. Their presence in the temples, leading the rituals, chanting the hymns, and offering the sacrifices, was a powerful reminder of Athena's influence and the deep respect she commanded. As the influence of Greek culture spread, so too did the worship of Athena. Her cult reached far beyond the borders of Greece, finding a place in the hearts of people in distant lands. From the shores of Asia Minor to the cities of Italy, Athena's worship spread, her temples rising in foreign lands, her festivals celebrated by people of different cultures. In each of these places, Athena was worshipped not just as a Greek goddess, but as a universal symbol of wisdom, courage, and protection. The spread of Athena's cult was a testament to her enduring appeal, her ability to inspire and protect people across different cultures and times. Whether in the grand temples of Athens or the small shrines in distant lands, the worship of Athena was a constant, a reminder of the goddess who stood as a guardian of wisdom and a protector of cities. Her influence was felt not just in the hearts of her worshippers, but in the very culture of the ancient world, where her presence was a guiding light, a source of strength and wisdom. In every prayer spoken and every sacrifice offered, the people of Greece and beyond expressed their deep reverence for Athena. She was more than just a goddess, she was a protector, a guide, a source of wisdom and strength. Her temples, her festivals, and her priestesses were all manifestations of the love and respect she commanded, a reflection of the deep bond between the goddess and the people who worshipped her. Through the ages, the worship of Athena endured, her influence reaching far beyond the borders of Greece, touching the hearts of people in lands near and far, a lasting testament to the goddess who was both a warrior and a protector, wise and just, revered and loved. In the quiet moments of reflection, when the mind searches for wisdom and the heart seeks justice, a figure emerges from the depths of time, standing tall and unwavering. Athena, the goddess who once guided the heroes of ancient Greece, still walks among us, her legacy etched deeply into the fabric of Western culture. Her influence, far from fading with the passage of centuries, has grown stronger, resonating through the ages in ways both profound and subtle. In the great works of classical literature, Athena's presence is a constant, her wisdom guiding the words of poets and philosophers alike. Homer's epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey, are filled with her interventions, her guidance shaping the fates of heroes and the outcomes of battles. In the Odyssey, her steadfast support of Odysseus reveals not only her strategic mind but her deep sense of justice, ensuring that the hero returns home after years of struggle. Her wisdom is the thread that weaves through these stories, a reminder of the power of intellect and reason in a world often ruled by chaos. Philosophers, too, have drawn inspiration from Athena, seeing in her the embodiment of the virtues they sought to understand and teach. Plato, in his dialogues, often speaks of wisdom as the highest virtue, a pursuit that leads to the truest form of justice. This ideal, so central to Athena's character, has influenced generations of thinkers, shaping the development of Western philosophy. Her legacy is not just in the stories told about her, but in the ideas that have been born from her example, ideas that continue to shape our understanding of wisdom and justice today. As the Renaissance dawned, bringing with it a renewed interest in the classical world, Athena's image once again came to the forefront, her presence felt in the art and culture of the time. Painters and sculptors, inspired by the ideals of beauty, wisdom, and strength, found in Athena the perfect muse. Her image, often depicted in armor, a spear in one hand and an owl in the other, became a symbol of the Renaissance itself, a period of rebirth and enlightenment. Artists like Botticelli and Michelangelo captured her essence in their work, portraying her as both a warrior and a protector, a goddess who embodied the intellectual and artistic ideals of the time. But Athena's influence did not end with the Renaissance. In modern culture, her legacy has taken on new forms, her symbolism evolving to meet the needs of contemporary society. Today, she stands as a symbol of wisdom and justice, her image used to represent institutions that uphold these values. The statue of Athena that presides over courtrooms and government buildings around the world is a testament to her enduring legacy, a reminder that the pursuit of justice is a noble and timeless endeavor. In the modern era, Athena's legacy has also found a new expression as a feminist icon. Her strength, independence, and intelligence have made her a symbol of empowerment for women, a figure who represents the fight for equality and justice. In a world where the struggle for women's rights continues, Athena stands as a powerful reminder of what women can achieve when they are free to pursue their own paths, guided by their own wisdom. Athena's portrayal as a feminist icon is not just a modern interpretation, it is rooted in her very essence. In a pantheon dominated by gods of war and passion, she stood apart, a goddess who valued intellect over brute strength, strategy over chaos. She was a protector of women and a guide for heroes, showing that true power lies not in domination but in wisdom and justice. Her virginity, often misunderstood, was a symbol of her autonomy, her refusal to be defined by the roles that society expected of women. In this way, she has become a symbol of female empowerment, an icon who continues to inspire women to break free from the constraints of traditional gender roles and embrace their own strength and wisdom. Athena's legacy in modern culture is a reflection of the enduring power of her symbolism. Whether in literature, philosophy, art, or social movements, her influence can be seen everywhere, a testament to the timelessness of her wisdom and the strength of her character. She is more than just a goddess of ancient mythology, she is a symbol of the ideals that continue to shape our world, a beacon of wisdom, justice, and empowerment in a world that often seems in need of all three. As we look to the future, Athena's legacy will undoubtedly continue to evolve, her influence felt in new and unexpected ways. But one thing is certain, her presence will remain a constant, a guiding force that reminds us of the power of wisdom, the importance of justice, and the strength that comes from embracing our own autonomy. In Athena, we find not just a goddess of the past, but a symbol of the values that will continue to shape our world for generations to come. In the heart of every culture, there lies a figure who embodies wisdom, a beacon of light in a world often clouded by chaos. Athena, the goddess who sprang fully formed from the head of Zeus, stands tall in Greek mythology as this figure. Her sharp mind and just spirit have touched countless hearts, and her influence has rippled across time and space, blending with other deities of wisdom in ways that show the universal need for guidance, clarity, and truth. Athena's essence is mirrored in other cultures, where goddesses of wisdom play similarly vital roles. In Roman mythology, Athena was known as Minerva, a goddess who carried much of the same strength and intellect. Yet, Minerva's image, while undeniably powerful, took on unique aspects within Roman culture. Where Athena was a warrior and strategist, Minerva's Roman identity leaned more into the arts and crafts, reflecting the Romans' respect for discipline and order. Still, the core of who she was, wise, just, and fiercely protective of her people, remained unchanged, a testament to the timeless qualities she represented. Farther east, in the lush landscapes of India, another goddess of wisdom reigned. Sarasvati, with her gentle grace and flowing veena, presides over knowledge, music, and the arts. Unlike the armored Athena, Sarasvati is often depicted in serene contemplation, her focus on the spiritual and intellectual pursuits that elevate humanity. Though their appearances and domains differ, the essence of these goddesses converges in their shared role as protectors of wisdom and learning. Where Athena guides with a firm hand in battle, Sarasvati nurtures the soul with the soft light of understanding, both leading their followers toward a higher plane of existence. The connections between Athena and these goddesses do not end with their similarities. In the ancient world, as cultures interacted and exchanged ideas, the image of Athena often blended with local deities, creating a tapestry of wisdom figures that enriched the mythologies of many civilizations. In Egypt, the goddess Neith, a warrior and creator, bore similarities to Athena, with her dual nature as both a fierce protector and a wise mother figure. The exchange of ideas between Greek and Egyptian cultures, especially during the Hellenistic period, likely influenced the depiction of these goddesses, blending their attributes in ways that transcended borders. Athena's influence extended into later traditions as well, shaping the development of wisdom deities in ways both direct and subtle. In Gnostic beliefs, the figure of Sophia, representing divine wisdom, echoes the qualities of Athena. Sophia's journey through the realms of ignorance and her role in bringing knowledge to humanity mirrors Athena's guiding hand in leading mortals through the challenges of life. The evolution of Sophia as a wisdom figure shows how Athena's legacy permeated even the most esoteric spiritual traditions, leaving an indelible mark on the way wisdom was understood and revered. In Norse mythology, the goddess Frigg, with her deep wisdom and foresight, shares a kinship with Athena. Frigg, though not a warrior like Athena, possesses a calm, all-seeing wisdom that guides her husband, Odin, in his decisions. The parallels between Frigg's role in advising the Allfather and Athena's guidance of heroes highlight the universal need for wise counsel, a need that transcends cultures and eras. Throughout history, the figure of Athena has stood as a symbol of wisdom and civilization, a beacon for those who seek to navigate the complexities of life with clarity and justice. Her image has been adapted, reinterpreted, and merged with other deities, but the core of who she is, wise, strategic, and just, remains constant. This continuity speaks to the universal nature of her role, a role that every culture has recognized and revered in its way. Athena's enduring legacy as a goddess of wisdom is not confined to ancient texts or long-forgotten rituals. Her spirit lives on in every pursuit of knowledge, every act of justice, and every moment of clarity that guides humanity forward. Whether she is called Athena, Minerva, Sarasvati, or by any other name, her influence remains a guiding light, a reminder of the power of wisdom to shape the world and elevate the human spirit.